I felt sad for the woman that was in here for so long, but she wasn't seen by the world. She wasn't even seen by me. Here needs to be kind, loving, fully present.
Oh, we are always meant to be in the not knowing.
Last year, I made a commitment to myself that I would no longer ignore me
Say it
because
again. Say it again.
yay.
Welcome. Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome. I am so delighted to have the lovely Afsheen Shah with me today. My loves, I know you've been coming to the Rebel for a Spell podcast for all the nuggets for us to share in this community of sisterhood. And that's why we have Afsheen Shah with us in our powerful women series. Afsheen, come on in here, honey.
So happy to be here, Gwen. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to have me here. I've always loved your energy and just being in this space with you right now. First of all, it's exactly what my soul needed today. So thank you for that. And it's just such an honor to be able to share parts of me and parts of you and parts of us together with your community. So thank you.
And me with yours, my love, because this is, as I was telling you on the top, this is an equal exchange of power, grace, beauty, and ascension or elevation for all women. We're so deeply connected. So thank you. Thank you for inviting us to your audience space as well, because again, this is dual loving, honey.
I love it. I'm all for that. I'm all about love.
Tell us, who is Afsheen Shah? Tell us, tell us.
So I love that question, first of all, because it's something that I ponder every single day. And every time I think I have it figured out, I realize I don't. There's another layer that comes out. And especially in the past 2 years, I've really, really gotten to know myself. And the woman that I thought I was is actually not even who I am. And that has just been such a powerful and, on one hand, slightly painful experience for me because I felt sad for the woman that was in here for so long, but she wasn't seen by the world. She wasn't even seen by me, the one person who's supposed to hold her and love her. That's what I had been missing. And so the woman that I am is the one that's open to always seeing what more can I be.
Oh, let that land in your spirits, my loves, listening on the other end of that podcast. Did you feel that energy of her vulnerability that Afshin shared? She shared with you that she was actually, if I may paraphrase, grieving a bit for the woman that she didn't know was there. But I say, Afshin, grieve, honey, if you need to grieve, but you shimmy into your awakening of who you truly are meant to be. I think it's so glorious. And this may sound a little strange to you and the dear ones on the podcast. I think in our not knowing, oh, we are always meant to be in the not knowing.
Yeah.
That creates such a hunger, such a curiosity that pulls us closer to wanting to hold her hand, wanting to soothe. So it's almost, yes, grieve, feel all the feelings, celebrate your courage to delve into the parts of you that were painful. Bravo, because that is the real work, baby.
It really is. It really is. This we all know. Well, I shouldn't assume we all know about the inner child, but it's just such a popular concept, right? And I do a lot of inner child work with my clients. I've done it with myself for years. I do it now. But what I realized that inner child has different levels. Even she has different phases and parts. And when I ask people, what do you think about when I say inner child? They think of that little girl or that little boy, the 5 to 7 year old. But let me tell you, when there was an 11-year-old in me that was like, please see me, please see me. I just wrote a book that came from the 10-year-old version of me who had been pulling at my sleeves for so long, saying, look at me, I have something to tell you. And it was only 2 weeks ago that, actually 3 now, where I sat down one day and I saw her for the first time. And this book flowed out of me, but it wasn't this version of me, this not the adult me. It was that 10-year-old that got behind that computer and started writing. And I have to tell you, when my family read it, two of them said, I love this. It sounds like your story. And it was my story because it was a 10-year-old at the wheel that was putting it out there for the world to see. And
Mm,
so, every layer of us that grows and evolves doesn't mean that past layer is gone. And if we haven't acknowledged it, if we haven't, accepted that part of us, it's going to keep tugging at our sleeves until we pay attention. And
mm,
I've found that once we accept it, we merge. We merge our present self with that past self. And now, when it comes together, we look forward to the next self because we're still not done. We're never done. And
yeah.
that's what it comes down to.
We are on an eternal journey. And
Yeah.
that's the beauty about being in this human form, right?
Yeah.
We get to touch, we get to go back, we get to go forward. And I am
Yeah.
so lifted by your story because somehow within you, and I want to hear about that book, darlings. We want to talk about
We will
that
get
book.
to it. Yes.
We want to talk about that book. But what about what was it that was within you that nudged you to trust that intuitive soft whisper from the 10-year-old Afsheen? What was it? Because let me tell you something, let me tell you something. That
Yeah,
courage to go there is something that's so fleeting and intimidating for many of us. So share, Elizabeth, why did you lean
absolutely.
into that space?
Yeah. So I will tell you, last year, I made a commitment to myself that I would no longer ignore me
Say it
because
again. Say it again.
I will no longer ignore me.
Again.
I will no longer ignore me.
Amen.
That was the first step to me being able to not just look at my past, but love it. So that nudge, when it came, it was no problem following it because I loved every part of me that has existed up until now. And that's where the courage came from. Until we learn to love everything that we have been and everything that we are now and everything that we will be in the future, we're not going to be able to pull back the shades and look at the painful parts, right? Because we haven't accepted them. We may fear them. And there's that part of us that may even dislike them. There were parts of me that I have to tell you, 10 years ago, I pretended not to know existed because I didn't like that part of me. I didn't like that 15-year-old or that 16-year-old. And when I finally realized she was doing the best she could, and she needs me now more than ever to help her heal, everything just opened up for me.
Mm.
There were no boundaries anymore.
Mm. I love that journey for you, Afsheen. And it's such a personal journey
Yeah,
for us coming to a place of accepting all that we are, because all of us make us divine. Every
100%.
part of us, yes, you've heard Afshin said it. Dear listeners here, every part of you was deposited for a
Yeah,
purpose. Even the parts of you that you may think are ugly or unwanted, they want you because even if, for example, you're making a cake, and you only remember to put in butter and not the rest of the ingredients. And you
yeah,
put your whole heart and soul into that cake, like I did one time, and that cake came out like cement. You still made that cake because you put your whole soul, your essence into it. So some of us may think of ourselves as flawed or damaged, or maybe cement blocks that cannot be penetrated by love or
Mhm.
forgiveness or self-compassion. But like Afshin just said, when you open up your soul to the possibility of your love, the
It's
world sees you differently.
right,
You see.
right. And you are seen by others differently because your actual energy, your vision changes,
Yes,
you
the way
know?
you move, the way you speak, and
Yes,
everything is energy. We're all energy, energetic beings. We all.
100%.
Oh,
The
I'm
way you carry your shoulders, my shoulders literally changed from that moment when I was like, I love every part of me, not just now, but everything I've done up until now. Doesn't mean that I would do it again or that, I was proud of it at that moment. But I think there's this big fallacy that we have to be proud of everything we do. There are going to be times when you do something and you think it's good at that time. And later on, you look back on it and say, oh, the current me wouldn't do that. And if we're going to say things like, well, I'm not proud of that, then we're automatically disliking and no longer loving the part that was doing the best it could at that time.
Amen. Everything is a step,
Yeah,
everything is a ladder, and we're
e-
all on a learning journey. Yes. So without
exactly.
having done the thing that we may regret or we may be tempted to diminish ourselves about,
Mhm.
how can we get clarity for where we are now? And I
Yeah.
think it's so beautiful what you just said. That's why all of us are welcome to celebrate our elevation. Bravo. Let's talk about what you just said about the body, because I believe from my own personal journey, and I share about it in my book, Inner Child Healing. I believe our bodies tell the truth,
Yes.
tell the
100%.
truth, the secrets that our mind try to hide from us. And just now you mentioned about your body reacted differently when you accepted all yourself. Tell me about that. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah. So, I will be honest. I've always had body issues since the time I was, I think, around 11 years old when my body started changing. I started stepping into womanhood, and you see what's happening. And in my culture, you don't talk about those things. Certain things were considered shameful for a woman. So I grew up with the idea of normal female bodily functions, like, menstruating is shameful. And so there was this belief that I was dirty and I'm not pretty now that I'm menstruating. Oh my gosh, I'm just gross. And then when the weight came on with my hormones, then it was like, oh my God, nobody's going to like this. Like I was looking at my outer shell and thinking, nobody will ever like this. And so my body responded by closing off. My shoulders were always like this,
Mhm.
hunched over. My arms would, and I notice this now because I've done the somatic work. I've really gone into the trauma work and learned about it. But my arms were always automatically crossing over in front of myself. I would stand like this all the time, slightly hunched over. And I never even realized I was doing it. But that was the part of me that I was calling ugly and not good enough. She was protecting herself from me, not everybody else, right? For the longest time, I thought I was protecting from other people, but these were my beliefs about myself. And she was shielding herself from me. And I think that's where the painful memories come in when you realize, what could I have done differently? And there are so many things you could have done differently. That pain is palpable for me. And I actually wrote a letter to my younger self,
Mm.
apologizing for all of the times I wasn't there for her, all the times I didn't hold her when she needed to be held, all the time I never told her how much I love her for just existing, not for what she was achieving, not for what she looked like, not what size she was wearing, just for being this good-hearted human who was doing the best she could. And it was a long letter. I'll tell you, it was a very long letter. And just writing that felt so freeing, so releasing. And I'll tell you, I don't have medical proof for this or anything, but I swear I felt weight coming off of me, physical weight.
Afsheen, Afsheen, Afsheen. Thank you. Thank you for letting us see you so unfiltered. Is
Thank you.
everything you said. Everything you said. This is why I have the series. I'm getting chills because they're women from your background, from my background, and we're all connected, regardless of our ethnicity, regardless of our race. There's something within our
Absolutely.
society, in our cultures that says, as we are as women, as we are as human, as we are as
Yeah.
beings, it's
Yeah.
not comparable to the popular thought, so it's not accepted. And that
Yeah.
is a battle within us that we face. And with you
Absolutely.
breaking down so clearly, eloquently, and simply your journey to yourself, it
Yeah.
showed me two things. It showed me within Afsheen, little Afsheen, who is bright, shiny, and brimming, guiding you to her.
Yes.
So even though you may feel there's some kind of pain of not accepting who you are, within you, you had a certain space, a pocket of compassion that is Afghan collectively,
Yes.
or parts of you, that led you to release the tension in your body and your mind. And that weight you said lifted, all that is energy. Energy
Absolutely.
transforming into an elevated state of joy and
Yeah.
freedom. And
Yeah.
bravo, I love that gift that
Thank
you
you.
welcomed yourself to receive.
So funny. For the long time, the I was very much in my masculine, and the masculine ego-driven part of me would always take such pride in the fact that, oh, I had this happen, I had that, I went anyway, I did it anyway. And I always thought it was me never giving up. But you want to know the truth? It was that little girl that you were just talking about that was still full of light and full of hope. She was the one that wasn't giving up. She was just taking me along for the ride. I recognize that now. And that again has been incredibly freeing because I realize I'm thinking that it's my ego running the show. That's where my power comes from. But my power was always coming from her. It had nothing to do with anything outside of that.
Amen. And I'm so happy you came to that clarity bridge.
Yeah.
And I say this to you, Afsheen. I truly believe that when the adult version of you in that evolving state of being is truly available to receive the messages that the keys to your transformation, you will receive them. So although some of us, and I know I did this in my own sexual trauma healing journey, some of us may feel, oh man, why didn't I know this for me? Why didn't I know this in my 20s? Why do I have to wait till I'm 30 something to get the light of day?
Right? If only.
Exactly. But at the same time, as I reflect my years in corporate America, I had no space to be graceful
Right.
and be gentle and soft with myself. So I think it's
Exactly.
divine timing that you came upon, if I may say that, divine timing, you came upon this realization and you embraced all that you are, and you were able to deliver this book, this new book that you said you were working on, you've written. It was all divine plan. You were ready, fully ready to embrace and share. So bravo to you.
Thank you. Thank
Bravo to
you.
you. Bravo to you.
Thank you,
Bravo
Lauren.
to you. That is your power. Tell me, Afsheen,
Yes.
besides the physical, because I've seen you, I've known you
Yeah.
for a while, you do all the running. Oh, Lord have mercy. Let me tell you, this woman, athlete. Tell me, what do you do that's non-physical? We talked about all the doing, and we
Yeah.
are just women, we are entrepreneurs, we are in this space of show me your value based on what you can prove.
Exactly.
What
Exactly. Yeah.
do you do that's non-physical that helps you get in touch with the soothing softness that may need for
Mhm.
your child, for your adult life? What do you do? Share with us.
Yes, absolutely. So I think it's so important to have both. I will say this. You know how some people say we are a human being, not a human doing. I've never fully bought into that, I'll be honest, because I think the ultimate form of being is when you can do while you're still being, right? It's a combination of the two. It's not either or, it's both and. And I'm not there yet. I won't lie. I'm not fully there. We're still working on it, but I start my day with just quiet. Either I listen to, there's a meditation that I love. It's just, music, not words, by Wayne Dyer. He put one of my favorite people on earth. Well, now he's in heaven, but his music that he would share takes me to a different place. So I start my morning with that, just the deep breathing, listening to the tunes that are kind of I can't describe them, but it's almost as if you're listening to angels sing. That's the best way I can describe it. That automatically puts me in a different place before I even get out of bed, right? Because the day starts before the day starts. To me, that means the night before, when I go to bed, what's in here needs to be kind, loving, fully present. And until I get to that point, I actually will not go to sleep. I have an alarm on my phone, 9:20. I know it's time. It's time to ground, get connected. So when I wake up, I can go right into that energy of let me sit here, let me be silent, let me ask the universe, what do you want from me today? And some days I get an answer, some days I don't. I don't judge it either way. On the days I don't, I know it's because my brain is already racing 100 miles an hour. But I have to be okay with that too, because that's also part of the journey. I then take my dogs out. Or animals to me they are angels. They're
What's the
literal.
names? Tell us the baby's name.
Hope and Taz, my little babies. They're both sleeping next to me. And they know there's something magical in the morning. So they both come up to me when we first wake up and they just put their heads near me. And it's this glow that comes in the room. I'm not lying. I see a glow everywhere. And then we go for a walk, still quiet. I come back, I feed them. Something about the nutrition that I'm giving them, I feel like just getting my hands in their food, watching them eat really connects me to the earth and gets me ready for my day. I do all of that before I go to the gym because I need to have that moment of just quiet, solitary thinking, reflecting, and talking to the universe before I start the day.
Ah.
And then you have it for the whole day. That's the thing.
Oh,
So when I have, you know what I mean? At 2 o'clock, I get an emergency. Actually, today, 12 o'clock, I got an emergency and I could have gone into that, oh my God, I have to get this done. But I said, no, I'm going to go back to the feeling I had this morning when I woke up.
bravo. It is that feeling. I applaud you. I applaud you for the way you shared and the way you share yourself with yourself, the universe, and your pets. Here's why I say that. Because as women, doing all these different things and in leading our lives the way we do, being ambitious and being
Yeah.
the entrepreneur of our
Yeah.
whole life, we maybe just reach for the phone sometimes, and we're checking emails, we're doing all these things because the anxiety that somebody tell us this is the way to start your day and have your morning
Yeah.
routine as
Yeah.
CEOs of our businesses. Sometimes we latch onto that without figuring out what resonates with us. And I love that you said you cleared time in your day
Absolutely.
to be intentional, to
Yeah.
love on you without judgment, without rushing, according to what I heard you say,
Mhm.
without any kind of hesitation or doubt that you are valuable for you and so
Exactly.
valuable to you. I love how you
Exactly.
shared that you touching the food and really getting in that space of feeling the
Mhm.
energy of the food and the energy of your pets and the energy that you are calling into your day with the glow. Listen, I'm a spiritual person. I completely get it. I'm like, yes, babe.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of people, they're not, some people may not be as spiritual as you are, I may be. And so they're so used to latching on to the practical things. Let me get the yoga, which I love. Let me get the running, which I love.
Mhm.
Softness that you say you invite to the day. Dear listeners, I hope you are learning something from Afsheen and whatever practices you do. Remember this, it's whatever that resonates with you, not because an influencer says is what she does.
Correct.
Listen in to what
100%.
resonates for you.
It
Listen.
makes such a difference. And it's funny that you said about what influencer said. I just recently had written a blog about one of the books that one of my favorite books is the 5 a.m. Club. But what I don't like is how so many people are manipulating it to shame people into thinking that if they're not up and running hard at 5 a.m., that they're lazy or they're not doing enough or they're not as good as somebody else. That's not what it's about. It's about being true to you and waking up in a way that helps you make the most of your day and not just on, the physical plane, on the spiritual plane. Not just how much money you make, how many hours you work, but how did you feel while you were doing it? That's the reason for my morning practice.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. I love what you said before. I love that we come from so many different places in the world. Tell us where you're from. Actually, my ask, is that okay?
Yes, of course. Originally from Pakistan. I live,
Pakistan,
yeah,
Pakistan, and I'm from St. Kitts. And this woman and I, the moment, just like we are here, I felt the energy. It's palpable, it's tangible. For some of you who are listening, you may think that only the people in your family, only the people in your neighborhood can teach you, can show you a new way to be. Afsheen is showing us so many different gears because Afsheen and I, share so much that she did not need to explain to me that we shared in that spirit, that's energy. Afsheen just said she listened to the music in the morning from a man, from not from Pakistan, but from a
right.
man. But there's a connection that we all need to step back and just settle into that feeling,
Yeah.
that truth, that energy that we do share. Again, there's
Mhm.
something that your neighbor who does not look like you, your pastor who may not look like you, who may be a different gender from you, if we open up ourselves to be curious,
Yeah.
that's when we expand our
100%.
possibilities. And that's why Afsheen is sharing with us. And that's why she's here sharing with us so eloquently. And actually, I have to ask you this question.
Sure.
Many of us, ooh, especially women.
Uh-huh.
From your culture, from my culture, for sure, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
We have a particular relationship with the word no.
Mm.
With the
Yeah.
word no. Tell me about your relationship or the transformation, maybe, of your relationship with using, with hearing, with feeling in your body the
Yeah.
word no.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm glad you said transformation because it has definitely evolved over the years for sure. You know, when I was younger, the word no represented what was possible for my life, believe it or not. Because, when as an immigrant, my parents, they're so loving. They did the best they could. But when my dad came, he was not making that much money and he was trying to support a family of five. So whenever I said, can I? The sentence wasn't even done and the word no came. And so I associated my life being a big no. What's possible for others is not possible for me, even if they did look the same, which was rare because we were in an area where there really weren't that many minorities at all. So it kind of stood out in that sense. And I would see other people doing things and I would want to be like them. I would want to do the same thing. I wanted to blend in, but instead I kept standing out.
Mm.
And the no got louder and louder. And so when I got a little bit older, I thought it was okay for me to say no. So when the cultural conditioning came in, oh, it's time for you to learn to cook clean. Oh, no, no, that didn't go over so well. Because then I learned you can be told no, but that doesn't give you the right to say no. Right. And so now I spent the next decade or so saying yes to everything because I was a woman and women don't say no. We say yes. If somebody needs help, we say yes. If we're tired, if we're too busy, it doesn't matter. You say yes. And so I didn't have the word no in my vocabulary. I was pretty much a doormat, I think, for the next 10 to 15 years of my life. And I say that in a very loving way to that prior version of me, because at the end of the day, even though she was doing it out of obligation, she was also doing it because she genuinely felt that that's how you show love. Oh, if your friend needs you, if you really care, it doesn't matter what happens to you, you go help. So I understand why she was doing it, but I also saw how it wore me out, how it kind of broke me for a long time. Because underneath that no, if we attached ourselves to it for too long, that failure to say no, what we really do is build this undercurrent of resentment. And at some point, that's going to come lashing out at others, at ourselves. And that's where that self anger comes from. That sometimes, when you're starting to transform, people say, oh, why is this person so angry all the time? Because there's this giant conflict happening. And the conflict is creating the anger. But when you are willing to just sit with that conflict, close your eyes for a little while and say, why am I feeling this way? The answers come in. And that's when I realized I'm not angry at them. I'm angry at myself for not recognizing that this is not feeling right to my body. It's up to me to take control back. It's up to me to decide what am I yes to, what am I no to.
Mm. Oh, I love that you got to that place. But
Yeah.
sometimes getting to that place, the journey of getting to that place is so intimate. It's so raw.
Mm.
It's so unnerving. So many of us, I know from my clients, we just say, well, this is how it is. Let me just stay the same because it's so much,
Easier. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
bravo to you, Afsheen. Bravo to you for giving yourself permission, consent to really dive in and listen in to what resonated with you. And that, especially some people from different cultures, it's very hard to penetrate that belief system that actually rewires your brain completely. So the
For
work
sure.
done is bravo, bravo to you for
Thank you.
doing and for sharing yourself so completely and being vulnerable. I say to everybody, so many of us think being vulnerable and crying and showing people who we are, it's the worst thing we could do because we are so weak. That is your power.
So yeah, that is your power.
Yes, the emotions that we feel, whether it's anger, resentment, guilt, shame, all of that is helping us work through to come to our greatness. Everything
Absolutely.
has a purpose. Everything has a purpose.
Absolutely.
Bravo to you. Bravo to
And
you.
you were in corporate, so you were probably told this many times. Don't show your feelings. Don't show your emotions. Don't let them see you cry. That's how they know your weakness. So,
Yes, I heard that too.
right?
That too. But many times I have an independent spirit. I have to tell you, my
Me
family would tell
too.
you, I don't know who she's from. My mother used to say that she ain't my
Oh,
child,
that's so funny.
she ain't my daughter. And that's what I say. I really believe, Afshin, and dear listeners here on the podcast, please open up your soul to receive this. You may not receive it fully now. You may come back to this episode later, but allow yourself to receive this. I believe, Afshin, that you and me, were naturally born
Mhm.
with a code of who to be, how to operate, how to feel,
Yeah,
and how to move through life. That is all made to be positioned. And I have always felt, regardless of whatever my mother, my father, my culture says, that's for them. I've always felt that. My aunt told me a
absolutely.
story when I was 3 or 4 years old. So something in us tells us and is guiding us, like Afshin was guided from with her little Afshin all the way through her adulthood to come back home to who she is
Okay.
automatically, naturally, her
Yeah.
natural state of being. So, my loves, that's why we say we intuitively know what we want, who we want to become, what we desire. And I'm
Mhm.
not just talking about sexual desires. And if that's your thing, hey, that's your jam. Ain't
That's
nothing wrong with
right.
sex. I'm talking about all your desires. Your desires are beautiful compasses, compass to
100%.
guide you home. So even
100%.
though something in you may be contrary, dear listeners, to what your friends and your people are saying in your village, if you feel it, there's something to explore there. Allow yourself to explore that.
Yeah.
Afshin, tell us about your book. What's going on with
Okay. Yeah. So
going
my
on?
book,
It's germinating. It's germinated. You've written the first draft of the manuscript. Tell.
well, I did a mini book first. And so the mini book is my story in I'll call it's a children's book, but not necessarily meant to be read by children only. So the book talks about, it's called Harriet the Heart-Centered Hen.
Say it
And
again. Harriet, the heart.
Heart-Centered Hen.
I love that.
Thank you. And so basically, Harriet is in a village and, she's very different. She stands out, doesn't look like the other hens. And all she wants so desperately is to be just like the other hens, which is basically how I felt for so much of my life. I just wanted to be like everybody else. I didn't want this name Afsheen. The number of times people would look at me and say, what did you say? What did you, I just wanted a name like Jennifer or,
Anglicanized name. Anglicanized name. I think your
yeah,
name is beautiful. What
thank you.
does your name mean, Afshin? Is there a meaning behind your name? Anything?
Yes, I believe it's a Persian name, and I believe the actual meaning is rising star.
That's you, baby. Did you know that?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm learning it now.
Ooh, yes. So
Yeah.
yes, sorry, I had to bring that
Oh,
in.
no worries. Yeah. And so in that sense, it's a reflection of my own struggles when I was growing up and who I wanted to be. And then, ultimately Harriet goes on this journey. She has this mentor who comes in and basically says to her, you want everybody else to love you so badly. How can they do that if you're not really being you? And if you don't love yourself?
Mm.
And so she learns to just be who she is. And because of that, not only do the people respect her and love her more, but they actually start to be more of themselves. And so it's a ripple effect. When we show up as ourselves, we give others permission to do the same thing. We
Yeah.
always assume everybody else has it together, or, oh, they're just naturally born cool. They're naturally charismatic, suave, whatever. They're fighting their own battle. And sometimes they want to take off whatever mask they're wearing and just show up as themselves. And the more we show up as ourselves, the easier it is for them to do that. And that's where this conflict that you see with people who may be different, that's the one thing that will make the conflict go away. When we can take off those masks and see each other's souls and accept those souls as part of one united being. And I
Oh,
think
I can't wait
that's
to.
what we're missing. Yeah.
That's what we're missing because it takes courage. It takes guts, Afshin, to be
It
the
does.
first one carrying the machete to pave that path forward. It takes
Yeah,
guts.
it does. It
You,
does.
you and the work that you are doing, and we want to talk about your professional background and you being a
Yeah.
coach, the work that you're doing. Some of you may not realize this, dear listeners. Afshin, the work that you're doing of healing yourself, empowering yourself, being bold and inquiring within yourself to get curious about your desires. Let me tell you what you're doing, dear listeners and coaches and CEOs, corporate women, whoever you are listening. You are shaping generations of
Yes.
nations.
Yes.
You are shaping generations of nations. You may not think, oh, Afshin's from Pakistan, when it's from Sink, it's blah, they don't look like me, whatever. No, 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 no. Afshin just showed you, every somebody you touch, whether you're on a bus, on a highway, whether it's just smile, whether you're just sitting next to them, we are emitting and radiating, giving messages.
Exactly.
So that's
Exactly.
why your story, your journey, your self-acceptance matters. We all interconnected. And that is so glorious, Afshin. I cannot wait to read your book. Is it coming out in the next couple
It's
months?
actually on Amazon.
Is that
Yes.
all?
Yes. It's listed as a children's book. So when you
Oh,
put it up, it will show up as a children's book. I had this incredible artist do the illustrations in there. And so it was a lot of fun putting it together, quite honestly. And what I realized also in the process is, and I've been thinking so much about this, there's such an emphasis on purpose, which is great considering 20 years ago, there was no talk at all about purpose, right? We weren't as in tune. But what I realized, purpose is actually the definition you gave it. I don't even know if you realize you gave purpose a definition before, following our blueprint. I believe that is the only real purpose we have is to get reconnected with that blueprint, honor it, and then start to live it day by day.
I love that you said that. Honoring our made to be blueprint, how we
Yeah.
came into this human being form,
Yeah.
how we came into this form. It takes guts, my loves, listening on the other side. It takes a lot of courage to walk through this life raw and bold, knowing that you know that you know that you know what your purpose, your self-divined purpose is, even if it's contradicting your reality. Oh,
Exactly.
that takes guts. And you discover that in your journey to self, because you may be, as I was, maybe as Afshin was, you may be living a certain life and coming home to yourself and being disconnected from who you truly are. But on the outside, somebody loves the version of you that they see, but you're not being true to you. So you're in a state of conflict. And so I hope, dear listeners, you are going to check the show notes to this podcast. Go out and get Afshin's book. If you are interested in learning and working with Afshin, she's going to tell you right now about her coaching program. So you might reach out and learn and explore parts of yourself that need, maybe needing, maybe even wanting. How about that?
Right. Exactly. Desiring.
Wants what she's offering. So Afshin, tell us about what you're offering in your coaching program.
Yes, absolutely. So my I have two coaching programs. There's very similar, but slightly different in as far as the direction we want to go to. One is a little more spiritual practices and spiritual based, whereas the other one really kind of goes deep into who am I really? How did I get here? And what do I want for my life next? So the Soul Evolution Accelerator is really what we talked about, getting back to your blueprint. Who were you born as? What have you forgotten? Reinventing ourselves into that person we were always meant to be. And we call it reinvention, but I'll be honest, when it's really a remembrance.
Oh, yes.
It's always part of us, but we have forgotten it along the way. So through that program, we really peel back the layers and we reconnect you to you, your essence, who you are. And you have to make no decisions on the future or anything. You just get to be you and love you for the person you've become. The other program is Good Girl Revolution. And this is geared towards corporate, but not limited to corporate.
Good Girl Revolution.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So what I have found in, working with, I've had the pleasure of working with so many incredible, strong women. And I used to think I just need out of corporate. I need to get back to, just me writing. And I realized that God's source universe has left me in corporate to connect with these women. And this is why I'm here to share with them that whatever you think you have to be loved, to make money, to be accepted, whatever, your I have to is, it's just programming. It's not real. It's a story that has been told to you and that you accepted because that's how you survived. So let's revolt from that part of you that felt she had to be this woman. And let's get back to you, the real you, which is where pieces of the Soul Evolution program come in. Let's find out Who would you be if you could be anyone? Would you, and maybe it would still would be the CEO. Maybe it still would be a partner of a law firm. And that's okay. But you get to be that person on your terms, not the terms that were dictated by someone else.
And that's the power.
Yes.
That's the power. I
Yes.
love that you've accepted your power position, Afsheen, by all the work that you have personally done, by all the work that your soul has called you back home
Yeah.
to do, and then offer yourself as an
Yeah.
example of your gutsy, bold badassness, because that's what you are. Yes, you may look like a good girl, and you are a good girl, but you are a glowy, you are an intelligent, you are a source of life,
Thank you. As
wisdom.
are you.
As are you, thank you, my love. As are you listening on this podcast. That's why I want Afsheen and I want everybody who I invite here to this space, whether you're physically on the podcast as a guest or you're listening from across the waters. Please know that as you are beautifully, divinely made. There's something about you that somebody else is waiting to touch, to feel, to almost get a taste of the possibility that they may be thinking about, and they're not even aware of it yet. So please, my love, allow yourselves to welcome yourselves fully, fully,
Yeah.
fully.
Amen.
Afsheen, tell us, where can we find you on social media, your
Yeah.
website? Tell us.
Absolutely. I'm very active on Instagram, and that's just at Afsheen Shah, my name. And I'm also on LinkedIn, where I've actually become really active over the past year. And it's also under my name. So on LinkedIn, I share a lot of the long form articles and the thoughts I have just to, help people kind of parse through their own thoughts. Instagram, obviously, is a little bit shorter, a lot more videos and reels because we're a little more limited on what we can share there. But anybody can also email me anytime they want. I respond to all of my emails. I love hearing from people. I love hearing their story because I think the more we share with each other, the easier it becomes to then support each other as well. And so, yeah, any three of those ways work best for me.
Brilliant. And I will have them all, including Afsheen's link to her Amazon book in the show notes for this episode. Afsheen, I want to thank you from the bottom of my soul, my whole being,
Thank you. It's
for
been
being
so
here.
wonderful.
An honor sharing this space with you. Any last words for our listeners you'd like to share?
I think the one thing I would say to everybody is stop looking out there to figure out who you are and just spend some time looking back in here. It's literally the first step to everything. And it doesn't have to be a grand process. Like you said, it's great to do yoga, it's great to do the retreats. Phenomenal if you can do it, but not everybody has that option. All you need is 5 minutes alone in a room with yourself just
Yeah.
to get started. That's it.
Yes, I love that. And remember, my loves, you are divine.
Yeah.
You are divine. Within you is a source of life that creates worlds. So if you sit with yourself, like Afsheen said, just 5 minutes, just 2 minutes,
Yeah.
you're gifting yourself freedom of being you.
That,
rebel, and be you. That's what we say. My loves, this episode is just curated from our souls to you. And if you have any questions for Afsheen, you can leave a comment in this podcast. You can rate the podcast, share it with your friend, because sharing is how we know we are not alone, and we're going up and up and up and up and up only. Up
way.
and up and up.